I grew up in a small town in Alabama, tucked between rolling hills and dense forests. There wasn't much to do other than explore the woods or hang out at the only diner in town. Everyone knew everyone, and secrets didn't last long. Yet there was one place we all avoided, the Red Creek Bridge. The bridge itself wasn't remarkable. It was old, rusty, and narrow enough that two cars could barely pass each other. Beneath it, the creek trickled lazily most of the year, swelling only after heavy rains. But it wasn't the bridge's appearance that kept people away. It was the stories. Some said a young woman had jumped from the bridge during the Great Depression, heartbroken after losing her family's farm. Others claimed a car had plunged into the creek one foggy night, drowning the driver who still haunted the area. Whatever the truth was, the bridge had an unsettling air about it. One night, after closing at the diner, my friend Derek dared me to go with him to the bridge. He was the kind of guy who thrived on dares and took pride in laughing at anyone too scared to join him. I didn't want to seem like a coward, so I agreed. We grabbed a couple of flashlights and hopped into Derek's old Chevy. As we drove through the winding back roads, the air grew heavier, and the trees seemed to huddle closer to the road. The night was unusually quiet. No crickets, no wind rustling through the leaves. We pulled up just before the bridge, parking at the edge of the gravel path. "Come on," Derek nudged me. "We'll just walk across and back. Maybe yell out a few things to see if the ghost shows up." I forced a laugh. "Yeah, sure. Easy." We stepped onto the bridge, the metal creaking under our feet. Derek cupped his hands around his mouth and shouted, "Is anybody here?" Silence. Then, the creek gurgled softly, almost like a whisper. I tried to laugh, but the air was thick, pressing down on us. Derek swung his flashlight around, the beam catching the twisted roots along the bank. Suddenly, a low, mournful wail drifted from the darkness. We froze. "Did you hear that?" I whispered. Derek's grin faltered. "It's just the wind, man." But we both knew it wasn't the wind. The wail grew louder, almost human, but distorted, like someone was trapped underwater, screaming for help. Derek took a step back, and I followed, our flashlights jittering. Just as we reached the truck, the sound stopped. We looked at each other, unsure whether to laugh or flee. Derek pulled out his phone to record, but the battery was dead. That didn't make sense since he'd charged it at the diner. I glanced at mine, dead too. Panic crawled up my spine. Derek climbed into the truck, but when he turned the key, nothing happened. The engine wouldn't even crank. He muttered a curse and tried again. Still nothing. We were trapped at the bridge with whatever was out there. Then we saw it. A figure standing at the opposite end of the bridge, silhouetted by the dim glow of the moon. At first, it looked like a person, but its movements were unnatural, swaying side to side. Derek aimed his flashlight, and the beam cut through the dark. The figure had no face, just a blur where the features should have been. It raised a hand, and the wailing started again, louder this time, reverberating off the metal supports. Derek and I scrambled out of the truck, backing away down the road. The figure didn't follow, but the noise kept growing, like 100 voices crying out at once. Just as we reached the bend, the truck engine roared to life. We didn't question it. We just jumped in and sped back to town. Back at the diner, we didn't talk about it. Not at first. Derek refused to acknowledge what we'd seen, blaming the night air and our own paranoia. But I couldn't sleep for days, haunted by that faceless figure and the wailing that seemed to follow me everywhere. A week later, I found out from old Mrs. Callahan that her son, years ago, had gone to the bridge to meet his girlfriend one night. He He never came back. They found his car abandoned, but no trace of him. Some said he'd run away. Others whispered that the bridge had claimed him like so many before. Derek never spoke of the bridge again, but I knew it left a mark on him. Sometimes late at night, I'd see him parked just outside town, staring at the road that led to Red Creek. I never asked why. Maybe he thought he'd see the figure again, or maybe he was just trying to make sense of it all. As for me, I've never gone back to that bridge. Some places are better left alone, where the past lingers too thickly to ever fade away. Willow Creek Farm had always been a quiet place, nestled at the edge of town with rolling green pastures and a sprawling barn that had seen better days. It was the oldest property in our small town, and folks whispered about its history like it was some local legend. Old Man Tuttle owned the place. He was a reclusive figure, tall and hunched, always seen wearing the same faded overalls and a wide-brimmed hat that shaded his gaunt face. People said he never left the farm, not even for groceries, and deliveries would vanish overnight from the front gate. Some kids at school claimed he talked to shadows and buried secrets in his cornfield. I never put much stock in rumors, until the night I found out they might be true. It started when my dog, Jasper, went missing. He was a loyal mutt, always by my side. But one evening he bolted out the screen door, barking at something down the road. I chased him as far as the crossroads, but he was too fast, disappearing into the dark. I searched for hours, calling his name until my throat was raw. 2 days later, while biking past the farm, I saw something moving among the corn. It was Jasper, or at least it looked like him. I dropped my bike and pushed through the tall stalks, calling out. Jasper didn't move right. His gait was stiff, unnatural, like a puppet on strings. When I got closer, he bolted into the barn. I followed, heart pounding. Inside, the air was thick with dust and the smell of old hay. Sunlight pierced through the gaps in the wooden walls, illuminating motes dancing in the stale air. I could hear Jasper's nails clicking on the floorboards upstairs. I crept up the rickety ladder to the hayloft and froze when I heard whispering, low, gravelly voices. Peeking over the edge, I saw Old Man Tuttle, hunched over something on the floor, muttering. Jasper lay next to him, motionless. "Took you long enough," the old man rasped without looking up. His voice was cracked, like dry leaves scraping across pavement. I nearly lost my footing. "What did you do to my dog?" I demanded, my voice shaking. Tuttle didn't respond, just kept mumbling words I couldn't make out. Then he did something that made my skin crawl. He reached into Jasper's mouth and pulled out a long, slender bone, dripping with dark fluid. Before I could scream, he looked up, his eyes wide and cloudy. He didn't want to go, but they called him. Couldn't stop it. They never let go. I bolted out of the barn, leaving my bike behind, and didn't stop running until I was home. I told my dad, but he just shrugged, saying Old Man Tuttle was just crazy and Jasper would come back eventually. That night, I heard scratching at my bedroom window. I looked out to see Jasper staring up at me, eyes reflecting the moonlight like twin mirrors. Relief flooded through me, but it quickly turned to dread when I noticed his mouth hanging open and that same slender bone sticking out. I didn't open the window. I couldn't. Jasper just sat there, motionless, until dawn. The next morning, my dad told me Old Man Tuttle had passed away during the night, found in the barn with a circle of old bones arranged around him. Jasper never came home after that, but sometimes, late at night, I'd hear scratching at the window, and in the morning I'd find small bones on the porch, arranged in a perfect circle.